everyone. We are coming to you live tonight, 7:35 in the Pacific time zone. For all of our
Yes,
Floridian friends, sorry, it is 10:35.
it is. But we had a problem because I couldn't speak earlier today. So we couldn't record earlier today.
It is the best she sounded in days.
Yes, we
And,
got overexcited this
and
week.
we could not go without talking to the Skywalkers live.
Mm-hmm. Oh, excellent. Hello, Matthew.
What a season opener is right. Good Lord. Hey, the Skywalking Force. Do you have those ready?
No.
So if Matthew, if you have any comments, please post them.
Welcome. Ah, yay. Oh,
Eh,
Courtney.
hey. Oh, Courtney beat Meredith to the Hey Hays.
Nice. Wow, there's a lot of you tuning in.
And Meredith, you are correct. it was all that screaming for Grogu. So we can do that next week then.
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty. So as you may have already discovered, Sarah's voice is very sore.
So Richard's gonna
I'm gonna
take.
do all the heavy lifting.
Yes. Yay.
And you just come in and tell me when I'm wrong.
Oh.
Or why my critique is not accurate.
I don't do that.
No.
All right, you guys. Well,
Yeah, once again, anyone, please weigh in. That's crazy. Yes. Okay, we want to get everyone's input on that scene.
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
All right.
Yes. All right. So let's put this running here in case anyone tunes in. Yay. Oh, good. Okay. I'm gonna hit record. Tusky Sarah today.
Yeah, Kathleen Turner, Sarah today.
You do this.
No, I want you to do that part.
No.
Yes, go ahead.
All right. This is what you can look forward to. I can't do that. You do it.
No, you're doing great.
All right.
Everyone tell Sarah that she's doing great.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 409 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Thank you, Kathleen Turner. Hey, Skywalkers! They are back. Din Djarin and his charge Ellie, and they... Hold on. Oh, that's the wrong Pedro Pascal series. Not Ellie, but Grogu. So many exciting adventures are coming up, and no one is infected. I just can't stop the crossovers. But now we want to welcome everyone to Skywalking Through Neverland. I am Richard Woloski, but now everyone please say hello to my sweetie wife, Sarah, who cannot answer back because her throat is very sore. Her throat is sore because we saw the screening of the Mandalorian episodes 1 and 2 of the third season.
We were at the premiere.
And we're just constantly yelling and screaming, and Sarah got a little carried away.
And then I learned that if you have a lot of caffeine and alcohol, that doesn't help when your throat is getting sore. So note for everyone.
Hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
2020 hindsight. One of those two. Hey, if only you'd read that before. But you know what? You just do your best. We're all counting on you, Shirley. Now, we are your enthusiastic podcast destination for the many decades of your Star Wars, Disney, and Marvel fandom.
So imagine a big Wookiee hug and a little sprinkle of pixie dust.
And a throat full of hot tea.
For our family of Skywalkers.
All right, now, coming up, not only will we go over the first episode of The Mandalorian Season 3, but we will share some sound bites to the press event that we were invited to that included Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, director Rick Famuyiwa, and Bo-Katan herself, Katie Sackhoff. And we're going to share our experiences from the Mandalorian screening event that took place in Hollywood. So much is coming up. Now, Sarah, who are we sponsored by?
Small World Vacations.
And they are a diamond level Disney vacation planner travel agency and can help you book your trip to a Disney park or in the Galactic Star Cruiser. And best of all, Sarah, how much is this service?
Free.
Free of charge. You've said enough. Okay, calm down. So head over there to smallworldvacations.com for a no obligation price quote and tell them Skywalking Through Neverland sent you.
Now we are recording this from Long Beach, California on March 2nd, 2023. What happened today in Star Wars history?
Well, you know what? A bunch of stuff happened, but I'll give you the top two. How's that?
Yes.
All right. On this date, March the 2nd, in 1980, 43 years ago, an ad appears in the Sunday newspaper editions promoting a Kenner Star Wars sweepstakes to see a special premiere of The Empire Strikes Back. And you can see The Empire Strikes Back with R2D2 and C3PO. This all takes place in Washington, D.C. And I bet you're wondering who won this? Well, I can tell you it wasn't me. I never bought so many stamps in my life. These were back when stamps were like 6 cents a piece. I bought a big giant roll full, and they say send in a postcard. So I went down to John's convenience store, and I bought all these Boston postcards and sent them off, hoping that would be me going to see The Empire Strikes Back with R2 and 3PO. But Steve Lang was one of the winners. And I tracked down Steve Lang. And if you go to our website and just look up Steve Lang, you'll hear about this amazing time he had seeing the film with Billy D. Williams and David Prowse and Mark Hamill. Oh my goodness. So I said, well, in the newspaper ad, there's R2 and 3PO. Did you see R2 and 3PO? He said, nope. Oh, it was right there in the ad. So many fun stories from Steve Lang. So go look that up on skywalkingthrough.neverland.com. Now, also on this date, but in 1981, just a week older than you, Sarah, we have to wish a happy 42nd happy birthday to Bryce Dallas Howard.
Whoa, I didn't know she was that close in age to me.
Yeah, she is a week and 1 day older than you.
Oh my goodness.
Now, of course, Bryce Dallas Howard, she directed the highly acclaimed episodes of The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. In fact, she directed the Book of Boba Fett episode, Chapter 5, Return of the Mandalorian, or some people call it Mandalorian Season 2.5.
Exactly.
That was all Bryce Dallas Howard. I remember seeing her once at Hollywood Horror Nights at Universal. This is like back in 1999. This little redheaded girl next to Ron Howard. If only I'd known that.
She would have been 18.
Yeah. And she saw me gawking at her dad, and she looked at me and just smiled like, yeah, he's my dad.
Seen it before.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Now, with all that, let's see what's happening in the world of The Mandalorian.
I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Yeah, we got Kelly here. Oh, Courtney's saying wishing happy birthday, Bryce. Bad Wobot and Star Wars Theory. Thanks. We had fun interviewing Dave and John, so thank you very much. Yay.
Yeah,
we're glad you watched that video.
All of those can be found over at our YouTube channel.
Yeah, where some of you are watching right now. Awesome. All right.
Okay. So we're going to go into the episode now. So if you haven't seen it, I guess there's a couple of Easter egg type spoilers.
If you don't want to know story, don't watch this. But
we hope you stay and weigh in. All right, ready?
Yes.
We've waited for this day for over 2 years. Can you imagine that? The last Mandalorian episode we saw was December of 2020. Over 2 years ago, that's when we saw the season 2 finale with Luke Skywalker. Yes.
No, because it debuted in 2019. The first Mandalorian.
Yes, this is season 2. So Din Djarin Grogu, Grief Karga, IG-11, and the gang, -1. They are back for Mandalorian Season 3.
I'm confused.
What?
I thought 2019 was season 1. Am I off on
Yes.
that?
Yes. And then Season 2 ended because Boba Fett started
Oh, December.
2021.
December of 2020.
Now, this 8-episode season began on March the 1st, and now we are here to break down the very first episode, Chapter 17, The Apostate. And we're going to play some highlight clips from the virtual press conference that we attended with executive producers Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, director Rick Famuyiwa, and Bo-Katan herself, Katie Sackhoff. And we'll tell you about the screening we attended at the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood. We ran into some old podcasting friends, some old guest friends, people we've had on the show before. It was a great time until it started raining. Now, we saw the first 2 episodes, but don't worry, we're not going to say a word about what happens in the second one, even though we really want to. We're gonna stay hush on that. But if you haven't seen the first episode by now, be forewarned, there will be spoilers.
All right. Well, let's begin with a summary of Chapter 17, The Apostate.
All right, now the episode begins with the armorer forging a new Mandalorian helmet and bestowing it upon a foundling in a ceremony located on a beach. Now, before the ceremony finishes, a giant alligator creature, Gargantugator, crashes the party, and the Mandalorians begin battling this big, giant creature, and they are losing until an N1 Naboo starfighter swoops in and takes out the creature. And guess who's flying that N1 Naboo starfighter?
It's Din. And guess who pops up when he lands?
Grogu, with
Ah,
his little arm waving.
and they save the day.
Now later, the armorer reminds Din he's no longer Mandalorian because he took off his helmet, and Din must travel to the living waters of Mandalore to atone. This is the way, she replies. I'm guessing this was the very first scene that they were going to go with, and they thought, you know what, we're going to have a big battle scene to begin with, because when he walks in, she just lays in on him. Hey, just to remind you, you took off your helmet, okay? You're going to get back to those living waters. Where he's like, were you not there? I just saved all of you guys from that big Gargantugator.
Yeah.
Most people would have said thank you,
Yeah.
but I'm good. I'm good with this.
And she just lays into him.
That's why I thought maybe there was another scene before this and they replaced it with the Gargantugator scene.
Well, what I found it really funny about this scene was she was saying, well, you can't atone because you can't go to Mandalore. It's all glass, right?
Mhm.
And he's like, well, I have proof that it might not be. And if I find those living waters, then maybe I can atone. And she like pauses and she looks at Grogu, who's giving her the little baby eyes. And she says, this is the way. That's so cute.
Yeah, whenever you want someone to change their mind, you just hold up Grogu.
Yeah.
Now, to begin his quest, Din returns to Navarro and Grief Karga, who has now become the High Magistrate. Now, to begin his quest, Din returns to Navarro and meets up with Grief Karga, who has become the High Magistrate, and he cleaned up the town. So if you see Navarro in season 1 and now, it's like night and day. Now, it's all well and good, except for the pirates. Pirates have invaded, but Grief, he takes them out, except for one because he wants him to go back and tell the others, hey, maybe we should leave Navarro alone, because Grief, even though he's the High Magistrate, he still packs a wallop. And these pirates consisted of, there was a Nikto, there was a Barada, and a Trandoshan, the best of the Star Wars creatures, and I just love that. And I'm getting too far ahead of myself here, but I love the fact that they were all wearing prosthetics, but yet they didn't loop their dialogue to make it sound more clean. Like if you watch the old Planet of the Apes movies and shows, you can tell they're trying to speak through all this foam latex, and it's the same here. So they didn't clean it up. They just left it a little muffled, under that foam, and I just loved that little touch. Loved it. Now, Din is on Navarro because he needs a droid. He needs a droid on his quest, and he wants none other than his old partner, IG-11, the nurse droid. But the droid
When they
IG
wake him up. Yeah. Sorry, but when they wake up the droid, go ahead.
but IG-11 when they've powered him back up, because he was a statue in the middle of the town, and his foot was on top of all these stormtrooper helmets because he saved the town. So now they have a monument to IG-11, and then Din starts him back up again, and he turns into Terma IG-11 Nader, and he just goes ballistic because he's reverting to his former cycle programming, which was to what?
It was to kill Grogu.
Kill
basically.
Grogu,
Kill
yes.
the asset, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that he went back to his original program. So he sees Grogu and just starts going nuts. So you have this half of a IG-11 crawling across the floor like the Terminator at the end of Terminator, the first one. It's just like the upper body and his like spine. Oh, and it was all stop motion, which another fantastic touch to the old days of the filmmaking style. Now, after IG-11 is taken out, Mando heads to Calavella.
Calavella.
Calavella. Now, after IG-11 is taken out, Mando heads to Calavella.
Calavella. He says it in the
Yeah.
series.
Okay, you do this part.
Okay. After the droid is taken out, Mando heads to Calavella, a planet in the Mandalorian system. However, before he can get there, pirates come upon him.
Yeah, well, they've been waiting.
Yeah.
Because he not only did Grief Karga take out the pirates, but so did Din. He was off to the side.
Right.
And as soon as the S went down, he was right there. So the pirates are like, oh, all right. When you leave, we're gonna be on you. So as soon as Din leaves Navarro, all the pirates are right there.
And they have this asteroid field chase battle, and it's pretty awesome. But Din gets away, and then
he does. But first, he has a little run-in with Davy Jones, or was that Mike Nesmith? It was the pirate on the ship was like, hey, you know what? You ain't getting away there. You turn in your ship, we'll let you go free. And then he's teaching Grogu, never trust a pirate.
Nope.
So he says to Davy Jones, I'm not a believer. And he takes off. And that pirate's name?
Oh, it's in my notes over there. Do you want me? I can go get them.
Go get your notes.
Okay. Give me a second.
So now, once he's at Calavella, they needed a better name for that. He visits Bo-Katan, who's just chilling in her abandoned castle on a throne in a very empty throne room. And she tells Din that the mines with the living waters are beneath the Civic Center in the city of Sandari. And that's where he's got to go. Now, if I'm not mistaken, she may have said the Staples Center. Or did she say Civic Center? Civic Center, right? Not the Staples Center?
I don't think it's the Staples Center anymore.
Okay. All right.
Who knows?
Yeah. All right. So now with this, his next step is in the quest is sealed, and he takes off. Roll credits. All right. So Sarah is back with her notes, and she's got the name of the Davy Jones pirate.
Pirate King Gorian Shard.
I like Davy Jones better.
And the henchman pirate is Vane. Not Bane, but Vane.
Oh, they should have named him like Torque or Dolans.
Oh, that would be funny.
Going on a whole Davy Jones Locker Monkeys theme. All right. Now with that,
yes,
let's go over our thoughts here. Or,
let's take some comments into account because you guys are writing down some good comments here. So Courtney is saying that she totally thought that opening scene was back in time to when Din was the kid getting his helmet for the first time. I think many of us did. I know
everyone did until we saw the armorer. It's like, oh, okay, the armorer's not a little girl, and she's wearing the same outfit, so it is the armorer, not someone else in the armorer outfit. Now, do you know who that little kid was?
No.
That little boy was played by an actor named Wesley Kimmel, who is Jimmy Kimmel's nephew. And he played one of the Tusken Raiders, the child Tusken Raiders in the Book of Boba Fett, and they just really liked him. So he said, "Hey, we got something else for you. Grow your hair out, look like a mini Pedro Pascal, and you got a job."
There you go. All right, Bad Wobot is saying, um, though he rewatched the 2 Book of Boba episodes, because I'm a little confused about when Mando gets Grogu back from Luke. We are going to go
We're gonna
over
go
that.
way into that, okay?
Yes, in the John and Dave roundtable interview.
You have no idea what a hive they stirred up. All right, let's do a couple more here. Okay, Meredith said King something.
Oh, where?
Oh, that I think that was for the pirate. All right.
Yes.
And then Courtney says, "I love that establishing shot of Bo-Katan
in her
throne." Now, do you think she's been sitting there all along, or when she sees a starfighter pull up, it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go meet someone. I'll go to my throne and wait for them." You don't think she's been sitting there this whole time, do you?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think so, but I thought it was funny how it was staged.
Yeah.
Just,
yeah.
Yeah. You're probably right. She like sees the starfighter is like, oh, okay.
Okay, I
I'll go
gotta
to
my
the
throne.
throne.
Yeah. That's where I meet people. I want them to see the rest of the castle because it's a mess I haven't picked up. All right. And Patty Hammond says, "Hey, hey." Oh, see, she's jumping ahead to the Babu Frick scenes.
Yes. The Anzellans. Love that.
All right. So should we
Yes,
start with a couple of your comments?
Okay, yes. So I really love the very, very opening of this season, which was just some sounds. Reminded me of Iron Man.
Yeah, under the credits.
Yes.
You hear the clank, 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 clank.
And it is the armorer. And we had just watched some of the scenes from the Book of Boba Fett where the armorer, she starts to make things with her kit, right? She starts to make the armor by pouring something in water, right? And and she does that every time. So like this time it was just super pronounced because it was.
Oh, I'm sure that's a little vial of Beskar.
Either that or it's a vial of the living waters from
that looked kind of
planet.
Looked too silver.
I don't know. Okay, I don't know, but that's what I'm proposing. Okay. But so basically, I love the fact that this whole season starts with this. The armorer is getting her tools prepared, and she's forging a helmet using this time-honored tradition of Mandalorians for like thousands of years, right? And so I feel like this could be almost kind of showing us what's going to happen this season. It's a metaphor for faith, really, which is what we're going to kind of explore in this season. It's showcasing Mandalore traditions, and then if you think about that, like our traditions of faith are a lot like that. They go back thousands of years. So we're going to talk more about this as the season progresses.
Yeah, I love that little kid's helmet. Looks like one of those Hasbro helmets.
Oh, it does. Yeah, I was wondering how she colored it. Like,
we see her painting it.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't see her getting into the fine details of the colorization. We just see her with like a silver coat.
Okay.
And then they skipped ahead with some scenes because it would have been really tedious had she been trying to paint those little lines and details
and waiting for it to dry.
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead.
All right, now for me, that first scene, oh my god, oh my goodness, I love me some creatures. I loved in the season 2 the beginning episode, the first episode of season 2. They started with the crate dragon, and now here they are starting with the gargantugator. Oh, my head just blew up. As soon as I saw this thing, I thought, wow, this show, the scope has really gotten so much bigger. The crate dragon was huge, but this thing could have eaten that crate dragon and needed like 4 more just to be full. Then the whole scope of that beach scene, the whole ceremony scene was so big. And when we caught up to Emily Swallow, remember Emily Swallow from Skywalking Through Neverland? She does, because we said, "Hey, Emily," we cornered her in the Roosevelt Hotel, and we said, "Hey, it's us." She's like, "Oh," and she had a big smile on her face because she remembered us. But we asked her, where exactly did you shoot that? Because that was not on the volume.
Mhm.
She said she wouldn't give a straight answer, but she said you'd be surprised at how small that area
That
was.
actual spot, yeah.
Yeah, so some of it was on the volume, but a lot of it was shot outside in a new lot, a new backstage lot. We found that out from Hal Hickel, the animation supervisor,
Yeah.
who told us all about the shooting location there. It was just so I really needed to know where they shot that because it did not look like the volume, didn't look like green screen. The whole scope was just so enormous.
And Hal Hickel did mention that any scene that's like outdoors, there's really no comparison for shooting it outside.
Yeah, because you need that sunlight.
Yeah. Mhm.
Now the cheering of the El Capitan crowd is still ringing in my ears as the N1 starfighter swoop down and we see Din and Grogu and they're just blasting Gargantugator apart.
Yeah.
That was just a fantastic scene, and the technology has so vastly improved. And now the first season of Mandalorian, I thought technology had gotten well with the volume. Technology had made a huge jump, but now seeing the animation on this creature and seeing the vast scope, it was like seeing something totally brand new outside of the Mandalorian universe. It had a whole different look, and it fit in there, but it was just bigger. And I just can't say enough that this was the scene that set the whole tone for this season.
Okay. Can I talk about
Oh,
my
okay, yeah,
favorite
yeah.
scene?
Because I could go on for another couple hours just telling you how impressed I was by this.
Well, we both have a very similar point
Mm-hmm.
in that the next scene when Din is taking Grogu to Navarro in hyperspace,
Oh,
you get this amazing hyperspace scene where Din is conked out, he's sleeping, but Grogu is just entranced by the magic of the universe. You know, he's still a baby, he's looking around, he's in hyper. How cool would that be to be in hyperspace in that like little bubble thing, right? And he looks, and I think a bunch of us in the theater kind of gasped at the same time when we saw the Purgle, which is the space whale that we saw and introduced in Star Wars Rebels
mm-hmm.
and had a huge moment in the end of Star Wars Rebels because they were really pretty much responsible for Thrawn and Ezra disappearing.
Yeah,
because they took them in their tentacles and took them to hyperspace. And you're like, where'd they go?
yeah. The Purgle saved Ezra
Yeah.
from Thrawn.
Yeah. So like what is happening? Now Purgle are in live action Star Wars that
Yes.
Dave Filoni is partly in charge of, and I am really excited because to me, all points lead to Thrawn. And I just want to see Thrawn.
Oh, and this will be that connection between this and Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Now, I can say I was highly disappointed when we went to Disneyland yesterday, the Galaxy's Edge, and there were no readily available Purgles to take home.
Oh,
Well, exactly. It's right there. But
I want my Purgles.
But okay, side note, we didn't see Purgles, but we did see the Mandalorian finally because last November he had been starting to be a walk around character. And the many times we've been there, we've never had seen Boba Fett, Fennec Shand, Mandalorian, and I've never been Rebel Spy. Whole different story. But we saw the Mandalorian for about a couple of seconds and he left and that was it. But when he walked by me, I didn't even register the fact that it was the Mandalorian happened to be walking by me because we'd seen like 55 of them the previous night at the screening. So it didn't even register that this is the official one. Which I thought was pretty funny. But Purgles, oh, there we go. There we have it.
Oh my gosh.
Love that. And the fact that maybe it's going to be Grogu because Ezra was reaching out and could connect with him through the Force.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Grogu will do the same thing.
Right.
And they'll say, the Purgles will say, hey, I know where Ezra is. Follow me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, another thing that I was really excited about was Pelimato.
No.
Oh, okay. That's what you should have said.
Yeah, I was trying to say
Well, you
don't. Okay.
okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, we see that.
Okay. There we go.
Okay, that's when you just gotta tell me.
Okay.
All right, now Grief Karga. Let's talk about Grief Karga. I'd always loved his character in the first couple of seasons, but now he's the High Magistrate. He's got these long flowing robes and this necklace piece that
Yeah,
never shifts.
I
Like how
know.
how does that stay perfectly centered on you?
I don't know. Okay. Well, let's talk about if you're talking about Grief Karga, I want to talk about the town because he cleaned
Okay.
up the town.
Yeah, you walk in this town, it's all white. Went
Yeah.
from a muddy, uh, gunk, uh, damp town, and now
Well,
it's like someone went through with a big giant can of white spray paint.
well, okay, what happened was the old town was like the old west as the inspiration, and then it looks like John Favreau went to a bunch of Renaissance fairs and European towns and said, "I want it to look like this." And so now the Navarro kind of it was totally gave me vibes of like a Renaissance fair or those European cities like back in the medieval times. Like you even had minstrels playing and singing in the streets of Navarro,
Yes,
and
which is what they should have at Galaxy's Edge.
they should. And Grief Karga's the robes, they were being held by two droids.
By two like Dio droids.
Yeah, and he was basically kitted out like royalty in that era
Mhm.
of Renaissance fair and the medieval times. So I thought that was great, and even the color palette reflected those creams, the rich red and jewel tones that
Mhm.
you often see. So I thought that was so amazing.
And you
And
fig-
Meredith puts a fine point on it. We have to call him High Magistrate.
Yes. Now you're forgetting the one big detail: quacking monkeys everywhere.
Yeah.
They're like squirrels in a tree. They're all
Uh-huh.
quacking monkeys. You know, okay. This is the creature effects artist coming out in me. They blinked, whereas the original Salacious Crumb were just these two plastic eyes they just glued on the puppet. But here they blinked.
Oh, wow.
It's a stupid comment, but I really honed in on their eyes, like, oh, they blinked. So not really like the quacky monkeys we were introduced to in Return of the Jedi. Now, when the droid came up to Grief Karga and Din and said, "Hey, there's someone out here that wants to meet you, and they're pirates." Oh, if you're gonna call someone a pirate, who are you leading up to? Hondo Anaka. This is going to be Hondo Anaka. It wasn't, but I was grasping the arms to my chair, just squeezing. I think I ruined those things because I really wanted to see Hondo Anaka in live action.
Nice.
But you know what? We got Vane and the Trandoshans, so we'll deal with that and Davy Jones. But still, you throw in some Hondo Anaka. Was I the only one who thought that?
No, I don't know.
Oh, see, well,
Patty
Patty
thinks so.
says Hondo.
Yeah.
Patty, did you think Hondo too?
Uh,
Yeah, because they're. Why not just say, hey, there's some ruffians downstairs, but they're gonna call them pirates. Okay, all right. So what else? What else you got?
okay, so I thought it was interesting that IG-11, they got him off of his statue,
Yeah,
and they tried to turn him on. That didn't work out. Then they brought him to the Anzellans, and that didn't work out either. So it's kind of like the story plot point that didn't really go anywhere, but it introduced a whole lot of cute things.
yeah. Unless it pays off later on,
Right. Which I'm sure it probably will, but it was just funny to like have this like non-quest kind of thrown in there. But I
Yeah,
have no problem with it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, yeah. I see your point. It's a valid point because in this episode it didn't go anywhere. If they left this sequence with a little cliffhanger, it's like, oh, okay, they're coming back to this.
Well, they said, I think, what did they end up on? Like if Din can find the right memory chip.
Yeah, so now he's got to take a tangential side adventure and a tangential side adventure from the main adventure. So he's taking a long way around to get to his main objective, which is very much reminiscent of season 2.
But that scene was awesome, and Corwin of Amber brings up a great question. Was Grogu going to eat The Anzellans.
No. Now he'll eat a frog, he'll eat an egg, but he sees these little beings who are hard at work on this droid. He's not going to try to eat these things because there's more of them. If he eats one, they're all going to gang up on him. And he never opened up his mouth like he was trying to eat it. He wanted to snuggle with it. That was his new play buddy. He finally has someone of his own size to play with.
So Corwin,
Come on, people.
I can't yell at you.
Okay, good.
But is it my turn?
Okay, go ahead.
Corwin, I agree with you. Snack.
No,
What's a snack?
he wasn't gonna eat a Babu Frick. Okay.
I thought at first he was. It was funny. It was funny. Oh my god.
But he was snuggling with it. He had a new friend.
I don't know. Well, okay. So in the scene, he did not have his mouth open when he was snuggling, but in the art at the end, he did have his mouth open.
There's no way he's gonna fit an Anzellan in his mouth.
You see all those frogs he shoved down his
Do you know how
gullet?
slimy frogs are?
He likes it.
They'll slide right down your gullet. And all the Anzellans were all voiced by Shirley Henderson again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the Anzellans was called Moaning Myrtle.
No.
Yeah, it was.
Really?
No,
No.
not at all. They didn't have names. Anzellan 1, Anzellan 2, and Anzellan 3. And it's great that as the scene went along, you could understand their little chitter chatter a little bit
better.
more.
Yeah, especially if you had the captions on though.
That
yeah.
helps even more, yeah.
But it's true, you could. And just the way the scene opened, you see little Anzellans working, and then the camera goes out to a wider shot, and Mando was like crunched.
It's like Luke Skywalker in The Empire Strikes Back, and Yoda's cave is all hunched in there.
What I want to know is, how did he even get in there?
That's a good question.
Because that little spot was not big enough.
The mouse hole.
Yeah, it reminded me of Zootopia.
Yeah, very much so. Very, very much so.
Oh my gosh.
That's a good question.
Yeah. Because he was definitely not crawling in there. His shoulders wouldn't have fit.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right, so we have got this great space battle, the asteroid battle with all the pirates, and he's just taking them out one by one. And that's once again we meet. Remind me of his name again. I want to call him Davy Jones.
Gorian Shard. It does not roll off the tongue, y'all.
No.
Gorian.
It's so apparent they were going for that Davy Jones look with all the moss and tendrils hanging off this pirate.
Yeah, it's like they plucked that pirate. It wasn't Davy Jones, the pirate dude in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies with the funky beard, and they just put him in space and gave him some green layovers.
All right, and then he goes to see Bo-Katan once again in her throne, and she's saying, "Hey, you know what? That place is cursed. Don't even bother going there. But if you want to go there, you go right ahead. And what you want to do is find the living waters underneath the mines and in the city of Sundari."
Yeah,
and this was another crossover, you could say, with The Last of Us, because you see you see Boston in The Last of Us, and it's all covered in moss, and it's been run down, and windows are broken, and same thing here. And when this is where Bo-Katan grew up, in this nice, lavish, beautiful city of Sundari, and now it's just one big. It's like the city just fell into the bowels of hell.
I do have a question about this scene.
Okay.
Because Din is on this quest, right? He needs to go to the living waters. But when he comes to Bo-Katan, the initial thing he says is not, "Hey, where do I find these living waters?" It is, "I came to join you."
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? What was his goal?
I think by this point he thought that she was going to lead Mandalore.
Right.
Even without the Darksaber, it's Bo-Katan.
Right. So he thought that he could join her instead of going to the living waters?
Yeah, it's very ambiguous.
Okay, because
I just thought he meant, I'm here to join you, and now that we're all together in this fun, happy community, can you help me go to Mandalore and to find the living waters?
Right. Okay.
That's the way I took it, and you had to really connect a lot of dots to get there.
Okay. Meredith says she was going to retake Mandalore. Yes.
Yes. So he's going to join her.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. So I find this so intriguing that like so first of all, Din now, like this is an example of where you see his faith is like super strong because he went to Grief Karga. Grief said, "Oh, you can become landed gentry. I will give you a plot of land."
Yeah.
And like you can just, who cares about your quest? Just hang out here with Grogu, right?
Yeah, you can be the marshal. We're gonna pay you very, very, very well. Live off the fat of the land.
But he turns this down because his faith is so strong that he feels the need, he must repent and go to these living waters.
Well, he is very focused.
He's
laser focused.
Yeah.
He can't do anything until he's got one mission checked off his list.
And Bo-Katan, she's lost all hope. She's lost all faith.
Right.
Wow.
Now, Courtney says in the Sky Chat, I thought he meant that she was going to Mandalore and he was going to go with her and then go to the living waters.
Okay.
Because she was not on Mandalore.
She was on Calavella.
That's the one, yes. But he could have gone there himself. He didn't need to hitch a ride.
Well, but he didn't know where the living waters were, so.
Yeah. But why not just go to see Bo-Katan and say, hey, can you set some coordinates in my ways to find the living waters, please? Because I don't know where they are.
Okay.
All right. And then Corwin of Amber says to help her take Mandalore.
Okay.
I think at this point, well, he even said, oh, I thought you would be leading Mandalore by now. And she said, I got there, but didn't have the Darksaber, so everyone just turned and left. And she said, well, you still have it, so you go to Mandalore and start waving it around.
I loved that. You would start waving around your Darksaber. Everyone will follow you.
People will follow you.
Yeah.
They'll show you where the Darksabers, where the living waters are.
Wow.
All right, now, should we get into some of the comments here? All right, now, let's get into some of the press conference sound bites.
Yes, these roundtables that we were in. Let's see. Should we mention who was in them?
All right, now let's play some of the interesting sound bites from the virtual press conference. So there were 3 different sessions. The first one with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. The second one with Rick Famuyiwa. And the third one with Katie Sagal. No, this was not a Married with Children press conference. Katie Sackhoff.
Yes, and now these were press roundtables, so we actually got to ask them one-on-one questions.
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of us from fan sites, and we all got a chance to ask them a question or 2.
Absolutely.
All right, so as you've noticed, there's been a flurry of questions this week over how long has it been since Luke picked up Grogu at the end of season 2 and started to train him.
Yep. So our friend Trisha Barr from Fangirls Going Rogue, my co-host, she asked whether Grogu is a nexus point for Mandalorians and Jedi to come together in these series. And so Jon Favreau started his answer by laying out the timeline. So let's listen to what he says. Oh, whoops.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Tarvizla's Darksaber.
That's a very interesting perspective. He is definitely somebody who has spent time in both worlds. And we know that he started off earlier in the Jedi Temple. We've seen
Can you guys hear this okay?
Flashbacks to that, that speak to that. And then we know that he's been rescued and spent many years with the Mandalorian, went back with Luke. Now we've been 2 years apart from him there training. What's interesting is that as he chooses to return to his friend, the Mandalorian, because he's developed an attachment, it's interesting how that echoes in a way Luke's path when he was, was drawn to the attachment to his friends and how that helped shape the future.
All right. So, as many times as I'm hearing this, I'm still hearing him give us the in universe timeline, which is 2 years.
Right. It sounds like it's 2 years since Grogu has been with Luke training.
Yeah. And I don't really hear it as 2 years since The Mandalorian, because it hasn't been just 2 years. It's been over 2 years. So a lot of stuff doesn't add up in this soundbite. I used to think that every time you heard a soundbite, that's gospel. But as you do more research, you find out no. No, you got to keep listening to more and more sound bites to go, okay, this is what they meant.
Right.
So now, what do you guys in the Sky Chat think? Now, if Grogu had been with Luke for 2 years, up until the end, when Luke offers him the choice of Yoda's lightsaber or the Mandalorian Beskar tunic.
Mail.
Yes, right before that, he was teaching Grogu how to jump, how to leap, and he was telling him about Yoda. So you would have figured jumping and leaping would have been like week 1. Yoda would have been in the introductory seminar for becoming a Jedi Knight.
Right. But it had been a while since Mando had seen Grogu when he went to visit him in the Book of Boba Fett.
He was really attached to him, so I think just being away for 2 hours, he would have gone a little ahead, had some separation anxiety.
Patty and I, okay, so if you think about it, 2 years and you look around at the galaxy, Navarro has changed dramatically, I think. And also Bo-Katan is just kind of like by herself, although that could have happened in like a week. But I feel like Navarro itself is like a good stamp on it's been 2 years.
On the progression.
Yeah.
So every single example we give is another reason why it could be this or could be that.
Yeah.
And we weren't allowed to ask follow-up questions during these.
No.
So we couldn't say, all right, guys, I know we can't do this, but John, explain what that means. Just give us the actual timeline. Is it 2 years? Just say Grogu has been with Luke for 2 years, okay? And that's all we need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2 years. But you would think to totally demolish Navarro and get it to where it looks like where it does now would have taken a little over 2 years. Okay. All right, so there's not much more we could say about that, because every time we give an example, that's another reason why it could have been this or that.
There's whole Reddit threads about this, you guys.
All right, so next, we know that we can't ask them anything about the shows because we hadn't seen the episodes yet. And I love my Easter eggs, and I love asking them about the Easter eggs they may have incorporated within the shows. And so I asked John and Dave, what Easter eggs can you tease us with?
Mm-hmm. And
then they said,
well, that's part of the fun of the Easter egg, is that it's something that you find, right? Isn't that it? I will say that we really try to do everything we can to find aspects of Star Wars that maybe is unexpected for us to include. And I think that we had a lot of fun at first with drawing from the Star Wars holiday special with the amp and the pulse rifle. And also the Camtono being the Wilrose Hood's ice cream maker. I think that the part of that I'm enjoying the most about this process is that no matter what part of fandom you're from, and no matter what you grew up with and what era you connect with, we want to make sure that everybody we have something for everybody here, and that everybody's welcome to be part of it, even if you're a new fan. Even if you're starting off, hopefully, I think that was one of the nice things about the first season, is that these were characters. Now, if you knew about Star Wars, hopefully there was a lot of rewards for all the time spent reading the books or watching the movies or even the TV shows. But if you were new, you were just as welcome, arguably more welcome, because it's like we have to invite the next generation in. And it's always been an open door for young people. And as a kid, still remember, I felt 10, 11 years old. It felt like it was for me, but it didn't feel like it was pandering. And so we want to try to make everybody feel that there's something for them here. And we talk about that quite a bit. And we have directors from different segments of the entertainment world, bringing different perspectives. That's animation, independent film, So all of it is meant to really make it feel like how it feels when you're at a celebration. You have people from all around the world dressed as different characters, different ages, and everybody's happy and taking pictures together. That's what it feels like for us, and that's what we want to try to capture with the show.
I love the word happy. Ironically, he is happy in the MCU, but he keeps saying that he wants everyone to be happy. I love that about that answer. And he could have just easily had said, well, they're Easter eggs, so you're on your own to go and find them.
Right.
But that's why I worded the question, can you tease us with some Easter eggs?
Right.
Just to see if you could give us one or two. But I love the fact that he's also saying that we're keeping the holiday special fans very happy. There's Boba Fett's pulse rifle. There you go. But also we want to keep everyone else happy too, which is a very fine line to tread, because you can't keep Star Wars fans happy with anything. But I think he does it. Sometimes there'll be video game references in these, like the Dark Troopers we had seen in the season finale for season 2. Yes. So, and those are things like, I didn't know what those were because we're not gamers. So
Right.
I'm totally out of that. But there are so many people who got so excited about those because that's their Star Wars.
Yeah. And Patty, I do think he was talking about the Purgles on this. Those are the Star Wars Rebels fans or things like that. And other things, I'm sure.
And when Jon Favreau said, you'll have to find them yourself. That's the beauty of the Easter eggs. You got to discover them. Dave Filoni looks up at the camera. Like, oh, you want Easter eggs? I'll give you some Easter eggs.
That's cute.
Now we've heard from Jon Favreau, but now let's hear from Dave Filoni about master storytelling.
Yeah, so Father Son Galaxy, they asked their question, basically, what does Din Djarin reflect back to ourselves and our society? And I thought this question was great, or the answer was great.
Society.
Well, for me, I can only speak personally. What appealed to me about Mando from the beginning was that he's somebody that's very protected. He's inside armor. And while that armor gives him a benefit, it also has him, I thought, incredibly closed off. And I think that we feel that way. We put on our armor a lot these days, and everything feels very combative, and the world outside maybe doesn't feel as friendly to us. And so we're armored up. But the significant thing for Mando is that, when he meets Grogu, that all changes. It's small things at first, and it becomes simple kindnesses. I'm protecting him. Why? Because he's worth money. But then he ends up protecting him because it is the right thing to do. And so I think that, Mando as a character is reflecting this armor, but we have to ask ourselves, what does that armor really mean? What is its value? It is his face, but when he finally takes the helmet off and Grogu sees his face and he touches his face at the end of season 2, it becomes something more. It becomes, I'm showing you my true face, my true self. I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable. So I think that those are the things that really appeal to me about Mando, and it's allowing us maybe to take our own helmet off and be more visible to people. I mean, that's the way I read it. I don't know if you feel that way, but there you go.
Another great answer. And I think he's talking about social media.
Yes.
That's being people's armor. No one can get through to me. Why? Because I've got this helmet on, and the helmet is the fact that they're anonymous.
I thought that was great. And actually throughout this particular roundtable session, they kept on referring back to how Mandalorian reflects our society, or we should kind of reflects ourselves. And so definitely, go check out the YouTube video on our channel with the whole interview. But yeah, and just to check out Dave and John's looks at each other. It's so funny.
Oh, that speaks volumes.
Yeah. Oh, And at the very end of that roundtable session, so there was, I believe there's 5 of us here,
Uh-huh.
5 of us. But let me just play at the very end. It was really fun.
Also, when everyone, they're saying goodbye to everyone and they're closing out everyone from the Zoom chat.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of times the talent, they don't know that we're still there, and you get to hear a little bit of their private conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what John and
Dave.
Dave said to each other.
Great
Very
talking
much.
to you. And hopefully we'll see a celebration. Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah, celebration.
Cheers.
Thank you very
Take
much.
care. Thanks for
Bye,
the
guys.
questions. Bye.
Great questions. Always great questions. Always.
Aw.
See, it wasn't like they hey, they're trying to butter us up or like let's throw them a bone, but
Yeah, we were all
I don't
going.
think they knew that we were still there. But Sarah and I were the last screens, so we got that little bit of extra dialogue.
That was cute.
Yeah.
Aw.
It's great to feel validated, and your questions
Yeah.
are something that they really get into, because you go to the Entertainment Weeklies or Vanity Fairs or some of those other bigger sites, and they're asking the same questions. They're not going into Purgles.
They're not going deep in the weeds. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no. They
Not
love
like
talking.
you guys watching either.
Mm-mm. All right, now let's switch gears to Rick Famuyiwa, the executive producer for season 3,
And
as well
director.
as the director for this first episode.
Mhm. Yeah, and I always wanted to know about the music. So, and doing research for these questions, we realized, oh my gosh, it's not Ludwig Göransson for this season as the composer. It's going to be Joseph Shirley. And we didn't really know anything about Joseph Shirley, but
Well, he did Boba Fett. He did the book of Boba
oh,
Fett.
that's right. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so we asked Rick, what musical direction did he have for Joseph Shirley?
And so that, I think, is
Hey there, I am Richard from Skywalking Through Neverland, and it's so great to speak with you.
hey,
Oh.
good to talk to you too.
For the episode that you directed for season 3, was there a particular musical direction you gave Joseph Shirley that you can tease us with?
Well, I mean, I think what's first of all, I think Joe's work on this has been phenomenal, and obviously, he's worked with Ludwig and been a part of that, and sort of continues on those themes that were built, but also just because of the size and scope and scale of this season. And I think they've all been big in their own right, but this certainly has a very cinematic feel to it. So I think what Joe has done throughout the season is build upon that, and some of those themes feel very much like the ones that we know and love and are familiar with, because of just the scale of the show now sort of warranted something like that. So I do feel like we're feeling some of the opera this season around as Joe starts to tackle the music. So.
Well, so I always begin all my questions with, what can you tease us with? Because they can't tell us a thing.
Yep. Feeling some of the opera.
Yeah.
That was a cool phrase. I loved that. Patty noticed that the music felt different in the first episode. Yeah, it did. It did feel more cinematic. Now that he said that, and I watched the episode, I feel like, especially in the pirate scene, there was a really cool. Okay, so the pirate scene when the in the space, so the space battle with the space pirates, they were using the part of the Mandalorian theme almost like a horn call, like a battle cry, and I thought that was a really neat way to use that.
See, when I'm watching it, I don't really hear the music because I'm such a more of a visual person. So I can't wait to hear the soundtracks when they release them.
Definitely.
Then I'll really be able to hear it.
All right. Well, Rick is now executive producer. And so Dan Z of Coffee with Kenobi asked, like, how has his role shifted now? And I loved his answer, because we were actually going to ask a question similar to this if we had gotten around 2 of questions, but we didn't. So we're glad that Dan did. So let's hear what Rick has to say.
incredible about this experience. Been incredible about this experience is, of course, my Star Wars fandom and geekdom has been, thoroughly expressed. But really, the environment that was created by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni as this show was coming together really set the tone for the experience of making this story, and it was so collaborative and so open, and he was so open to each director bringing their point of view to the larger storytelling, that it really created a sort of a family dynamic in terms of how these stories come together. And it didn't feel like you're sort of passing a story from one person to another, but everyone was sort of telling the same story and sort of understood it. And there was a unique way that first season came together, because we were all sort of new to the technology and sort of had to really know what everyone else was doing. That informed the process moving forward. So because it's always been that, and Jon has sort of been the one who has done most of the writing, if not all of it, it doesn't have the feel of like, what I guess would be traditional television. So it's always felt very collaborative in that way. So as my role expanded, specifically because I was also writing, and after the first episode I directed, Jon asked me to do another episode and also write on it. I've had the opportunity to sort of be a part of his process and that process as he's been writing and thinking about the seasons as they're coming together. And that was the case in season 2. He asked me to write an episode. And so that meant, hearing and talking to him about his process and what he was bringing together, and talking to Dave and trying to make sure it all lined up as I was writing, because it wasn't like a traditional writer's room. So we all had to be aligned in what we were writing. So it helped me sort of see the overall arc of storytelling. So this season has been sort of a natural progression of that. And that now that I'm coming on both as a director, but also executive producer, being able to have been a part of that process since season 1, and now it's sort of expanded in a way that there's trust between the three of us, trust between myself and Jon. And as the show just got bigger and bigger, it's something that I think we all, having been a part of it from the beginning, needed to all get our arms around. So I sort of expanded my role in that way, but in some ways it still feels very familiar to what we've been doing since season 1.
And there you go. What's that key word that you heard there? The operative word: align.
Yeah.
Align.
Yeah, and the family dynamic, I think it's interesting. Yeah, he mentioned it's not a traditional writer's room, because they were kind of writing almost to the technology, or the technology was, I don't know, like helping it move along somehow.
Well, such a big story that you have to make sure that everyone's on the same page, or every episode is just going to feel and be too different, or be very disconnected. And I'm so glad that he's now one of the executive producers, because he did some of the best episodes of the last season. In the first season, The Believer, the Child, which was the Mandalorian versus the Jawa episode.
Second one, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I can see why Jon and Dave would say, hey, all right, you're with us now.
Nice.
All right, now let's switch over to Katie Sackhoff. And wow, she's got a huge following right now on our YouTube channel. We put all 3 of these press conference sessions in there, and she so far is like the biggest one, with, let's see here, 22,000 views.
Oh my gosh.
22,000 views for this.
Wow.
for Katie Sackhoff.
Her round table.
So my point being, people love Katie.
Yes, she is so cute. Oh my gosh. All right. So, Richard.
So we started off with a question that Sarah, you really wanted to know about in personalizing Bo-Katan's armor, because the Mandalorians, they all personalize their armor in one way or another. But Katie, how did you personalize your armor? You put any Katie Sackhoff Easter eggs in there? And then she said, "Wait."
So you're right. Armor is incredibly personalized in The Mandalorians. And I think that's one of the things as like just a fan of Star Wars and like a Katie on set, walking around and looking at all of the different armor this year was absolutely so much fun. Our costume department is just unmatched. They're so good at what they do. And you see how I'm avoiding the question that you asked me, right? This is, we'll see.
What a face.
Yeah, her eyes are darting around.
Yeah,
It's like she's
like,
watching
we'll
a very
see.
fast-paced tennis match. Because she did not know how to answer that. But seeing the first episode now, I don't really see anything different about her armor. But
No.
then
no.
again, we're sort of enraptured in the story.
Well, we're at the beginning, so
Right.
she hasn't grown or changed at all. So
Yeah.
yeah. We'll see.
We'll
see.
It's funny how she even acknowledges the fact that she's avoiding the question. Where
Yeah.
anyone else would just totally go on. They'll answer a question you didn't ask and go on with it and play like they answered your question.
Yeah, that was funny.
All right, now Father Son Galaxy asked about voice casting, about voice acting versus live action for Bo-Katan.
Yeah, like how, what's the differences?
Mhm.
So, and listen to this answer because I really found myself thinking about her answer as I watched
Oh yeah,
these episodes.
oh, it makes a whole lot of sense now.
Such a good question. Okay, so voice acting for Bo-Katan is a completely different medium. When I'm in the voice recording booth, I can do whatever I want with my body. I'm not restricted. There is a level of freedom that comes from just focusing on what your voice is doing and not having to think about what your hands are doing at the same time. And so then once I started playing Bo-Katan in live action, all of a sudden I had to figure out how she moved, how she walked, how she carried herself. What did her hands do? And what I realized from watching the animation and then putting on her armor and having played the voice for so long, what I realized is that Bo is incredibly stoic and she is purposeful with her movements. When she moves and when she speaks, it's very intentional. And so I had to calm myself when I played her and make sure that I didn't move as much as I do in the booth. So when I put the helmet on and play Bo-Katan, it is the closest thing. I love it because all of a sudden my face can do whatever it wants to. And I don't have to worry about that I look like Katie, who's like excited that she's in Star Wars.
Hey, Brian, with full of sip.
I'm guessing she's got a big smile underneath that
I
helmet every step of the way.
That's so cute.
All right, now they had anything else you want to say about that?
No. Oops. Oh. There we go. No, that was good.
You hear that kind of answer a lot from all the actors. Ashley Eckstein, when she's doing Ahsoka
Ahsoka.
Tano, yeah. She's doing things that she wouldn't do during those live readings you see at conventions. You got to totally change up there. All right, now they had circled around to everyone and they started to go back to the beginning of all of the people there at the press conference and decided to let people take in another question. All right, so now they had cycled through everybody and it was time to ask a second question. Like,
yes.
Oh boy. And sometimes you'll have a couple of questions planned out because sometimes someone will ask your question.
Oh, yeah.
Or if they do come around to you again, you want to be ready for another question. I don't think we're ready for the second cycle. So when they called on us, I just opened my mouth and let's see what comes out.
Hey there, good to speak with you again. It's only been a
Yeah.
couple of minutes. You've been to so many conventions, meeting so many fans. What memories do you have of meeting someone who either brought a tear to your eye or made you laugh really hard?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's so many. You know, I've been doing this for a long time now. And one of the things that I always found to be incredibly important is going to conventions. It is part of the sci-fi world. It is part of the fan base, and I think that to deny that is a disservice to the genre. And I love going and talking to the fans and listening to what they liked about the thing that I did, or talking about some other project that we both think is really fun. You know, it's something that's really important to me. And there's been moments that I've laughed hysterically. You know, I was just at a convention and I told the story of basically how I, you know, peed on myself in costume. It was fantastic. You know, my suit is a one piece and I have to go to the restroom like normal person. And we couldn't get the whole thing off fast enough. And so they created a zipper for me to try out, and it didn't work. So we scrapped that idea and then just got more proficient at taking the suit off. So I try to make conventions fun, and I try to give away little tidbits of, you know, information that people won't get anywhere else because it's, you know, hysterical.
Well, thank you very much. And you aren't the only actress who's peed on herself in a Star Wars film or TV show.
Listen, when you are in all of this stuff, you're lucky if that's all you do.
And I was alluding to the time when we had spoken to Mickey Herman, who was the double for C-3PO for the Star Wars reshoots and pickup shots in Death Valley. And when you're in C-3PO, you can't get out of that costume very quickly. So if nature calls, you have to answer.
I thought Samantha Aline also had some problems.
I think you're right about that too.
Yeah, that's who I thought of when you,
okay.
when you said that. Wow.
Right. I thought it was very brave of her to say that.
Mm-hmm.
A
Oh
lot of
yeah.
people
Well,
won't-
she paused before she said it. She's like, "Yeah, I'll say it." Whatever.
A lot of people will not admit that.
No.
And I love the fact that she says that she saves these little anecdotes for conventions,
Mhm.
things you don't hear in interviews. I think that is so incredibly smart,
I agree.
because how many convention panels have you been to? It's like, oh, you're gonna hear this story again. I like the story, but heard it so many times. And now going to see her, you just know that, oh, okay, I'm gonna really focus here because I know we're gonna hear some nice juicy story nuggets.
Yeah.
Now,
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, if you want to see and hear any more of the full roundtables that we participated in, just make sure to check our YouTube channel. The 3 videos are right there. They're in a playlist as well. I made a playlist, and yeah, they're going bananas over there. Lots of views.
yeah, so give the Dave and John and the Rick Famuyiwa video a little love, because they're a little below Katie Sackhoff's numbers. All right, with that, let's tell you now about the screening. Last week, we got the invite to attend the Mandalorian Season 3 launch.
Mhm.
Well, they didn't call it a world premiere or premiere. It was the launch. Like, oh, great, this is fantastic. Get to see the Mandalorian up on the big screen, which, aside from little snippets at conventions, I don't think we've ever seen the Mandalorian up on the big screen.
No, this is really neat.
Yeah. So they had the big marquees outside the El Capitan Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. You had all this Star Wars fans all running around Hollywood Boulevard, people in costumes, the Mandalorian mercs, the Rebel Legion, the 501st. And before we went into the screening, we were invited to a little get together by Lillian Noble, and she is our contact over at Disney.
Mhm. Lucasfilm. Yeah, and so what? Oh,
Lucasfilm.
Lucasfilm.
And she is our contact over at Lucasfilm. So she thought, hey, you know what? I've never really met a lot of these people. So let's do a little get together so we can meet face to face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we got to see Trisha Barr from Fangirls Going Rogue, which we met her face to face, of course, but then also Caitlin and Charlotte from Sky Talkers podcast, Katrina Dennis. We also met Aruzo Amin, and then Brian Young from Full of Sith, and also Gus from Triad of the Force.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of these people just in little tiny Zoom
On
boxes
screens, yeah.
during press conferences. So it was fun to get together
Mhm.
and really just talk. Now, once again, the screening was held at the El Capitan on Hollywood Boulevard, and it was like the Oscars for Star Wars. We weren't giving out awards, but we were seeing the Mandalorian. But there were so many Star Wars celebrities in the crowd. Once again, we saw Misty Rosas. It was always fun to see her. David Collins we'd seen at the screening, and
Yeah.
Emily Swallow, Matthew Wood, and Seth Green.
Yeah. Oh, and we got a picture with oh my gosh, Doug Chang.
We got Doug Chang.
Yeah.
Exactly. He had a mustache, so we didn't recognize him at first. And we think we saw Clancy Brown.
I don't think it was.
We need to post this picture
Yes,
and have people verify it, because it looked like him,
but not really.
but not really. He had some facial hair he doesn't normally have,
Mhm.
and I stood next to him, and yep, that's Savage Opress's voice. But looking at him, I was like, no, that's not Clancy Brown. So we're gonna post that picture and
Okay.
have people who were there confirm it.
Yeah.
And as Meredith says in the Sky Chat, Rosario Dawson.
Yeah, she was
She
sitting up
was
in the
there.
balcony with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was interesting. Yeah, they had a photo op with the N1 Starfighter, which was on the stage of the El Capitan.
We did post some of those pictures too.
Oh, I posted a bunch of reels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I posted the reels. In fact, if you go to our Instagram, you'll see the reels of kind of the atmosphere. And then also I posted the reels of Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau's speeches in between the episodes. So you'll get to see that.
Yeah.
That was nice. And one of the cool things was before the premiere, we got there early, and over right next to the El Capitan is the Ghirardelli ice cream place. Well, they had put these Grogu waffles and ice cream in little packs that we got to eat, and it was their Ghirardelli chocolate ice cream. Oh, with the Grogu waffles, it was very good.
And we got plenty of Grogu Gogurt tubes,
which we didn't eat.
No.
And little snackies.
And little fruit gummy bears.
Yeah.
In the shape of Mandalorian characters. Did we mention that the N1 Starfighter was screen used?
Oh.
One they had on stage was the one they used on set.
Wow.
Yeah, I got to touch it, and they told me not to. It's like, well, you know what? I was imagining a red button right there, so you know what? And mentally, I had to press it, so I'm sorry. And then afterwards, they didn't have an after party. The after party was before the screening, so it was a after party before the party, where they had like a little red carpet inside the Roosevelt Hotel, because this week in LA, it's been raining nonstop, raining and hailing,
windy.
Yeah, so they said, okay, we're not going to chance it. Let's do it inside.
Mhm.
So when we went to the Roosevelt Hotel after the screening, everything had been taken down. All the Mandalorian set pieces and the set dressing and the photo ops, all gone. So we thought, okay, let's go down to the little bar that we had met Lily and Noble before and see what's going on down there. So we hung out with some of our podcasting friends. And then there was a guy there that looked so familiar, a guy with white hair. I could not place where I knew him from. And it was driving me nuts to the point where Sarah said, let me go over and ask.
I just went up and asked point blank. I was like,
Yes.
Did you work on the Mandalorian?
Sarah pulled on his sleeve and said, excuse me, who are you? Yeah, so she said, "Did you work on The Mandalorian?" He said, "Yeah, I was the animation supervisor. My name is Hal Hickel." And I'm like, "That's where." Oh, because he's on Facebook a lot, and I love his work. I just couldn't place his face right there.
Mm.
So when you see a name and you see someone online, then you see him right there in front of you. It takes a little couple seconds to connect all those dots in your head to go, okay, that's a real person. So that's what he told us all about the where the beach scene was shot in the first episode and what it took to animate that big gargantugator. And then we wanted a picture with him, so we asked this random guy sitting there, take our picture, and he's taking all these oblique angles, these Batman angles, and Hal said this picture was just taken by the Strange World guy,
Stranger Things.
the Stranger Things guy. It's like, what? So this gentleman, his name is Skip Kimball, worked on Stranger Things, and he was the color correctionist. And this is the person that really gives the film the look, any kind of tone, and the feel, the warm feeling, the cold feeling, and
So he created the upside
the
down.
upside down. When they gave him the footage, it was just some mist and a big sound stage, and he gave it that ethereal feel to it. And we said, "So did you work on Mandalorian?" He said, "No, I'm working on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny." Are you now?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah, I've been working on it for quite a few months now. We're listening. So apparently, James Mangold, the director of Indiana Jones 5, called him in because he wanted him there working alongside with him. Normally, something like this you can do through Zoom. You don't need to have someone right there, but this is a pretty big task. So instead of looking at someone through Zoom, he said, "You know what? I'll get Paramount to flip the bill. We'll send you a plane. You'll be here the next day." And this guy, Skip, very, very nice guy. He'd worked on
Avatar.
Titanic. Have you guys heard of these films?
Yeah. Of the Abyss.
And we just talked to him for like over an hour.
Mhm.
Over an hour. Very, very nice guy. And
that was everything. It was pretty awesome. We hope to get both of these guys on our show at some point. We'll see.
Yeah. I want to reach out to Skip and say, so how's Indy coming? I did say to him, "Hey, did you see a rough cut by any chance?" He said, "Yes, it is bleep and bleep, 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 fantastic." And this is one of those guys who he doesn't pull punches. He doesn't. Why would he? He's not someone who's trying to impress anyone, but he is telling us that, wow, this was a fantastic looking film. Not just looking, but the whole film just works. And this guy Skip, I'll stop calling him this guy Skip, but Skip works with Sean Levy. And Sean Levy, a couple of months ago, was announced to direct a Star Wars film. So I said, "Okay, you're friends with Sean Levy. You worked on the Deadpool movies. What's going on with Star Wars?" So he kind of looks over his shoulder, looks around, and just to make sure no one's listening, because after they announced him, Sean Levy, that was it. That's everything. And I thought, oh, another one of these. Get in line behind Kevin Feige and Ryan Johnson and the Game of Thrones guys and Patty Jenkins, because your film will fall apart too, okay? But he said, no, he is definitely going to be doing a Star Wars film, but he's got to do a Deadpool 3 and then another film, then Star Wars. And when that does come, Skip will be working on it too. So, hey, Skip. Yeah, we'll come by, see you at work, take you out for lunch, and if you want to show us a shot or two, great.
Nice.
So I was just happy to hear that another director's not going to fall through the cracks. And we're going to get his movie sometime
In the future.
in the future. Yeah, so after all that, we walked out of the Roosevelt Hotel
And it started downpouring.
in the pouring rain, but we just had big smiles on our faces. It was just a great night. I was so happy that The Mandalorian, the episodes we had seen were just phenomenal. Got a chance to see old friends and see some old friends who'd been on the show, and just walking on clouds.
Yeah, it really felt kind of like after pandemic at this point. So
Yeah, walking on clouds and through puddles.
Jumping in muddy puddles.
Well, that wraps up this Mandalorian-sized episode 409 of Skywalking Through Neverland. Sarah, say it again, but louder. Put more emphasis into it.
Go ahead.
All right, well, we want to thank Disney and Lucasfilm for inviting us to the Mandalorian press event and the screening, and to all you Skywalkers who have contributed to the show, had watched our videos on Instagram and YouTube, and we're here tonight and commenting in the Sky Chat and just supporting us any which way that you can. Now, speaking of which, are you interested in our book, Today in Star Wars History? Well, this week we mailed off a couple more. Now, if you want an autographed copy, well, you know what? Let us know. And you can get it through skywalkingthrough.neverland.com/book. We'll sign it. If you want it personalized, we'll do that. Throw in some little fun stuff too. And coming in a couple of weeks, Skywalking Through Your Star Wars Fandom. That's our third book.
It's going to be amazing.
Give us an update, Sarah. They sent us the proof.
Yes, and so we need to. Well, we've been editing things. We're gonna soon send out for another proof.
Like tomorrow, right?
Soon.
Tomorrow. I'm gonna hold you to that. All right, tomorrow we'll get a proof because we need these by WonderCon. All right, now we want to thank our sponsor, Small World Vacations, for their continued support. Thinking of a trip to a Disney park? Well, you can fill out a Get a Quote form at smallworldvacations.com today. Their vacation planning service is free of charge. So tell them Skywalking Through Neverland sent you, and you'll want to do this in June so you can come see Rogers the Musical with us.
Woohoo!
All right, now, do you want to support Skywalking Through Neverland in any other way? Well, of course you do. Well, consider supporting us through the Skywalking Force, which is our Patreon. The Skywalking Force has access to bonus content in the form of our Zoom discussions on the latest Disney Plus shows. This week, we're going to start Mandalorian, but I don't know if Sarah's voice can take it.
I know. Hopefully tomorrow night, right?
Details to follow.
Yeah.
And bonus content in the Skywalking Force begins at only $5 a month. So head over there to skywalkingforce.net. So head over there to skywalkingforce.com and have a look at all of those options. And thank you to one and to all if you are, and thank you to one and to all if you are already part of the Skywalking Force. Okay, everyone ready for this next part? We are part of the Skywalking Network.
Skynet.
See, you can do that part, where you can find other great shows like Talking Apes, the Max Effects Podcast, the Neverland Clubhouse, Totally Tell Me Everything, Star Warsologies, the YouTube shows, Collectopolis, and Today in Star Wars History. Who's the first to jump on the Skynet?
Courtney
Turkel, followed by Meredith, all whispering Skynet. Now, if you want to get a hold of us on social media, on Twitter and Instagram, we are at Skywalking Pod. Come join us in our Facebook group over there on the Facebook. And you can email us at share@skywalkingthrough.neverland.com. Now, don't forget to stick around for bloopers and other fun bits that didn't make it into the show. And
always remember
to never eat your Babu Fricks. And
man, that's everything. Neverland on Alderaan. Yay. All right. I gotta refill my tea.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. You know what? I think we got more responses.
This late, yeah.
Okay, for those of you who are still on here, do you like it when we can't really do it late because we would do it Tuesday afternoon. It gives us that night to edit. And to get Sarah some tea.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
All right. Well, Sarah, you're done talking for the next couple of days.
Mm.
So if you need Sarah, call her on Monday. All right. And Meredith is also saying, so Cameron likes him too. Yeah, so we asked him about that. Is James Cameron really that hard to work with? And he just said, well, he's got so much pressure on him. And when he's got so many things spinning in his head and someone comes to ask him what he wants for lunch, he may yell because, hey, I'm focusing on a ship sinking or these blue people doing their thing. I'm not going to be focused on that. And you know, when someone yells at you, like, what a jerk, without thinking, well, hey, you know what? Maybe he had a bad day. Maybe he or she had a bad day or doing something else. It's not all about you. But they said, yeah, James Cameron was just a very, very nice guy. All right. Good night, Patty Hammond. Good night, Courtney Turkell. Good night, Patty Hammond. Good night, Meredith Duckwell.
Duckworth.
Did he Duckworth? Duckwell?
He said
Duckwell.
Yeah.
No.
Kelly.
Okay,
Good
now
night,
I'm
Kelly.
tired.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Yay.
All right. Bye-bye.